everyone, I'm Katie Robertson.
And I'm Maria Harris.
And we want to welcome you to our November Anchor Gathering. We are so glad you're joining us tonight. If you're in a watch party with family and friends, or you're with your church, or you're tuning in on your own, we are so glad you're with us. Tonight we are in a really fun location.
We are here on Fox Island near Gig Harbor, Washington at the home of Dr. Rob Lane and his wife Suzanne. We're here in their very rustic and unique barn. We'd love for you to have a chance to look at it. Let's take a look around.
Well, we've got a great evening planned, but before we get started, we thought it would be fun to go behind the scenes and introduce you to our Anchor staff. So we're going to take you now to the Anchor Gathering headquarters in Gig Harbor, Washington, and let's go there now. Well, hi everyone. I want to welcome you to our headquarters here for the Anchor Gathering in Gig Harbor, Washington. And we are seated here in my office around a special place, around a special table. And this coffee table is where the Anchor really all began 12 years ago when I gathered some friends in my living room and we prayed around this table to ask the Lord for wisdom and envisioned this gathering for women. So it's really a great place. We meet here regularly and we start our time in prayer, and I'm really excited to introduce you to I call them the A-team. They are awesome, and I'm going to just kind of move here to the right and introduce you. So here.
Hi there, my name is Alexis Caldwell. I am the creative lead at the Anchor, and I do all of the web, social media platforms, your emails that you get from me. That's my job.
Hello, I'm Lauren Callahan, and my job is Leader Care Coordinator. So I love to connect with the leaders. I run the leader meetings, and if a new leader signs up, then I'm the one who gets to reach out and welcome them.
My name is Maria Harris. I'm the Director of Operations, and I help support behind the scenes.
And that is our A-team. We are thrilled to be here bringing the Anchor Gathering to you. We work really hard, and I'm so thankful how the Lord's brought us together, and we love to bring the Anchor to you. So now let's take you back to the program.
We have so much fun working together as a staff. We hope that the enjoyment that we experience working together is translated through to you.
And now we're going to start our program, and we start with music, and it's an honor to introduce to you our guest musician, Brandon Heath. And Brandon is a top contemporary Christian singer-songwriter. He's a very dear friend of the Anchor, and he and his wife live in Nashville, Tennessee with their darling 2 daughters. Let's hear now from Brandon Heath.
Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Heath. I'm a recording artist, longtime friend of Katie Robertson. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I love collecting art. It's not like gallery worthy or anything, but that is actually this guy that I found at an estate sale. I really don't know much about him, but I thought it was a cool painting. Maybe my favorite painting that I've ever had is this. This is actually a print. It's not an original, but this hung over the desk of Will Graham, Billy Graham's grandson. And he's become a good friend of mine, and I was admiring this. And he pulled it off the wall and gave it to me. This is I believe he said it was a Czech artist from the Czech Republic who depicted his granddad as this great harvester, and you can see him not only sowing seeds, but then you see somebody behind him tilling the land, and then you see a church. And he not only planted a lot of seeds while he was on this earth, but I kind of see Billy Graham as one of the great harvesters of our time. You know, in the Word, it says the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. And this time of year, you know, it's autumn. I always think about harvest, and the season is changing and the leaves are falling and there's going to be new life in the spring. But now is the time, you know, now is the time for harvest. I have a song called The Harvester. I always think about Billy Graham and in this painting specifically, but I'm going to play it for you now, and I hope it finds you in a season not only of great fruits of the things that you've done and the things that God has started in your life, but maybe a time when you can share the good news of not only what He's done in your life, but what He did on the cross for us. This is called The Harvester. Up with the dawn and the rooster crow. Been that way since I don't know. Throw a little water on my face, get out the door and greet the day. Putting my knees down on the ground, sing to the Lord in a weary sound, asking for the strength I need, break my heart like a weed. For all that we've grown, how could we forget those who don't know or just don't know yet? Let's harvest this field from sunrise to sunset. The Master is coming, we are not done yet. We are not done yet. Yeah. Yeah. Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Not yet, not yet. The harvest is plenty, the workers are few. Let's get the word out. Let's love people and let them know the hope of Jesus. God bless you guys at the Anchor.
Brandon, thanks so much for sharing your gift of music with us. So good to hear from you. Now we're going to our Anchor moment. An Anchor moment is a time when a guest shares a moment in their life where they experienced some challenge. And through that challenge, they found that they were anchored in Jesus, that Jesus was the anchor for their soul. Tonight, we are hearing from Lucie Lundquist. Let's hear from Lucie now.
We're here in Medina, Washington at Lucie's home, and we are just so grateful that you welcomed us in. We're so excited to hear from you tonight. So we thought we'd start with our first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm so glad y'all are here. We know each other really well, but you all don't know me. So I'm Lucie Lundquist. I live here in Medina, Washington, and this is the home where I grew up with my mom and my dad and my younger brother. And I'm living back here now. I recently got engaged this summer to the most amazing guy. So I'm moving back home, save a little money until we get married next summer. And I do interior design. I have a passion for antiques and making things beautiful and florals. And yeah.
And she's really good at what she does. She's already helped me find some very great treasures.
Yes.
So
I love going treasure hunting.
yes, you are good. It's a little scary for me. How about our next question? Tell us a little bit about your faith journey.
Growing up, I was raised by Christian values. My parents really instilled that in me, but we didn't necessarily grow up going to church. And my parents both came from different variations of Christianity or not backgrounds, and so they really wanted to leave it up to my brother and I to figure it out on our own. So they encouraged us to be curious, to go to church with friends. I attended church with my grandparents a lot. So that was kind of my background a little bit and my first few steps into Christianity. And then I felt brave enough to go to Young Life Malibu, which you know well.
Good choice.
And it was an amazing experience, and that's was kind of more formative for me when I stood up and I was like, oh, this is something I want to be a part of. This is really interesting. I'm seeing all the joy that Jesus brings and everything that Malibu is. And it's such a magical place. And you're up there and you're like, wow, only God can create this. That was when I really had kind of my big moment. And then I went off to college. I went to Texas Christian University, which was wonderful. I was kind of in a space where, everyone was Christian and everyone had a faith background. Whereas I think coming from the Northwest, it was, if you didn't grow up in church, you had to seek it out a little bit more. So it was nice to be surrounded by a bunch of people that were like-minded, and I could really learn from my friends. And I have to shout out my friend, Sally Glenn. She invited me every Tuesday night to go to I can't remember the group, but some kind of group, and I went maybe twice, but but those 2 times I went were wonderful, and Sally was so consistent in inviting me that it's a little reminder that Jesus is consistent too. Even if you don't take him up on the offer, he's still right there.
Ooh, that is a really good analogy.
So even if you're not perfect, because I am not, I am still very much on my journey and learning more and more every day, but he's always right there. And that was really important for me as times got a little tougher in my life. Junior year of college, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And I had just moved into a house with 2 of my best girlfriends. Life was good. Nothing had been hard yet. And then there was this crazy news of, oh my goodness, what's happening? My mom is all of a sudden so sick. I just remember being terrified. I had no idea what to do. And when I got the news, I was just at my college house with my girlfriends, and because my parents were halfway across the country, and we just sat and cried together on the sofa, and they just told me, they said, Lulu, God has this. It's in God's hands, and He's going to carry you all through this. And that was so profound for me in that moment, just because the gravity of the situation, even though maybe it's not a super profound thing that they said, but just knowing that, hearing it, was really nice. So once we figured out the diagnosis, I flew home. We figured it out. We got a game plan. How were we going to move forward? What was my mom going to do? Treatment? What was the plan? So she started chemo, and I went back to school. She was very insistent that I go to school and finish.
I really love hearing about how your friends give you, I like to call them the anchor truth, that the Lord's going to be holding you no matter what is going on here, the storm that came out of the blue for you. But let's hear a little more about that journey with your mom.
My mom and I, when I was back during Christmases or for just to visit, we would oftentimes go to the Anchor. And my grandma, who you know well, was the host of our Anchor party. And it became a place where my mom and I really started sharing our faith together. Because it was something I hadn't shared with my mom before she got sick. And when she got sick, I think she found herself searching for something more. And so it was very, very special and dear that it was something we got to share, and, be on a faith journey together and have those conversations about the Lord and how He makes life better and the truths that He teaches us to hold on to. One of them that has really carried me through is to lay our burdens at His feet. That has really anchored me through my mom's illness and helped me to find strength. So there was a moment, I can't remember when it was, but there was a moment when I felt just a wave of calm wash over me. While my mom was sick and we were dealing with so much, there was this just, like, when you crawl into bed and the blanket's really heavy and you're just calm. That's what I felt, and to me, that's the Lord. That is Him comforting me. That's Him comforting all of us. And when I just rested in that calmness, it gave me more strength to, show up for my mom when she was going through chemo, to help my dad and my brother to just make dinner, because sometimes that was so hard. And I would just really hold on to that sense of calmness that the Lord gave me. And I also remember growing up, my mom always said that calm was her superpower. And she said it over and over to us all the time, how calm is a superpower. And my mom, at this point, she got sick and we start going to Anchor together, and she's very new in her faith. So I believe now that when she was saying calm is her superpower, that was Jesus speaking through her to her and us, that calm is a superpower, and it's His superpower that He allows us to feel. I just think it's just a wonderful phrase, and I remind myself every day that calm is a superpower, and I pray about it every day, because when you're calm, you're stronger, because you can tap into your other emotions. You can see through the scared and the hurt and all of those things when you just breathe a little. So as I'm breathing through all of my mom's chemo treatments and everything, it's been about 2.5, we're going on 3 years of her illness, and she's declining. And unfortunately, she lost her battle with cancer on the 4th of July in 2022. And she went out with fireworks. It was her favorite holiday. So it's kind of a beautiful moment. We were all together, and, even though she was gone, that sense of calm and Jesus was in the room. We were all here. She was surrounded by love. And I'm just lucky that we had 3 years to have those conversations, to grow our faith together, and have hard conversations and the real ones, and talk about, the things she's gonna miss.
I think she'd be so proud of you as who you are and who you become. And I'm kind of picturing her as the great decorator in heaven, because it is a mansion, and
It is.
with many rooms.
Oh, yes, she would have
And
lots of
I know that,
opinions.
no, but I really, your mom is so special.
Yeah, my mom was a very special lady, and a really special moment of ours was sharing a little bit of our story at the Anchor fundraiser, which was, the year she passed or right before, something like that. And to be able to get up and share our faith journey with other people together was really, really special and something I'll hold on to forever.
Blessed that my daughter has encouraged me and led me here, where we can share our blessings and worries together and be comforted together by all of you. And thank you, Katie, for creating these cozy moments. The pivot was awesome. I love the simple home meetings, and I will continue to look forward to more encouragement from our Anchor. And it does feel like ours. It feels like our thing, and we need it. So thank you for the hope and the effort. I love y'all. I don't know y'all, but
all of the wonderful Anchor women in this room have been there to pray with us, cry with us, and comfort us at Anchors at Home in everyday life. For us, it's brought us closer. It's brought us closer with our community, and I can't say enough good things about it. And I feel so lucky to be with all of you in this room tonight. So thank you so much.
Everyone in the room, we will always treasure that
Yes,
moment.
yes. So I'm just so grateful that I had such a wonderful mother, and she taught me so many wonderful things. And calm is a superpower, and we all need to remember to take a breath every now and then, even in the hard parts. And when I opened my devotional this morning, I try to read it every day. I don't always succeed, but today was big day. So I opened it up, and it was just the perfect message that has really helped me through grief and really, really challenging times. So I'll read it to us now. Let me fill you with my love and holiness this morning, providing you with the grace you need for today. You have so many questions, dear one. Learn to bring them to me. Put them down at my feet and just let them go. The burdens you are carrying with them will ease, and you will find true peace. But it is a daily practice of laying them down at my feet that is so necessary. The devil will try to overwhelm you by bringing them up in your mind again. Give them to me, dear one. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Come to me, all that are heavy and laden, and I will give you rest. Jesus said that over 2,000 years ago, yet it is so hard for you to let go. Find true peace in this gift. Focus on me. I will always take care of you and the burdens you carry. Be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world.
Wow.
So,
It's perfect.
yeah, it was really perfect. I'm like, oh, it always is perfect when you just open it back up. You're like, oh, that's just the perfect message I needed today.
And I think it's encouraged all of us.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Lucie, for sharing your Anchor moment with us for the Anchor today.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Lucie. That was such an encouraging message, and it was such a special time to be with you in your beautiful home. So now at this time, we're going to get to hear from our main speaker, and it's a privilege to introduce to you tonight Dr. Rob Lane. And Rob is a retired oncologist, and he loves to come walk alongside people and help them navigate their cancer journeys. And he also is a speaker and an author, and he and his wife Suzanne live on Fox Island, here where we are, and we are really blessed to get to hear from him now.
Hi, I'm Rob Lane. I'm a medical oncologist, that is a cancer doc. I'm Suzanne's husband, and I'm the father and grandfather to a passel of kids. And I love to take them adventuring all over in the wild. But there's been no greater adventure than journeying with Jesus. I'd been reading Isaiah, I think it's 40:31, They who wait upon the Lord will rise up on wings as eagles. They shall run and not faint. And I just wasn't quite sure exactly what that meant. So I asked the Lord, and a month later, I got the answer. I was up in the Arctic hunting with one of my sons. I was alone in camp. I came around a Christmas tree. There's nothing bigger than a Christmas tree in the Arctic. And to see a golden brown, 8-foot grizzly bear standing on top of my gun and clothes and books. And they look at you under their brow, and they kind of weave back and forth. And I had a plan, because I'm terrified of bears. And the plan starts with, speak softly. So I said, shoo bear, easy bear, everything's fine, in just a kind of a soft voice. And they usually just walk away, but that didn't work. So I went to 2, and 2 is back up slowly. So I did that, and I walked back about 3 steps. By that time, I was behind the tree, and I couldn't see the bear, so the bear couldn't see me, and I took off running. And I ran out across the stream and up on the hillside, and I figured I'd see the bear just trashing camp looking for the meat. But the bear was galloping after me, and I galloped 2 legs at a time. The only other thing in my playbook was lie down and play dead, because grizzly bears generally don't eat you. They just bat you around until you stop resisting, and then they leave. So I ran back at the bear, and I jumped up on a rock, and I put my hands up in the air, and I growled and I screamed at the bear. And it stopped about 15 yards away. And it looked at me, kind of cocks its head one way or the other, and they kind of hold their arms kind of like a prairie dog. And meanwhile, I am praying like crazy, Lord, take this bear away now, emphasis on the now, bring my son and the guides and their guns back now. And then I heard a booming voice behind me say, wait and trust. Wait and trust. Wait and trust. And I turned around and looked. There's nobody back there. And I realized, oh, that's the Lord. And what he means by wait is wait and trust that he's on it. The bear is like 15 yards away. He's like from me to that light over there. He stood up and he looked at me, kind of canted his head this way and that way. And then he got down and he walked along the creek. It's as if the Lord had said, bear, you ain't crossing that creek. He walked along the creek, he stood up, he walked back, he stood up, and he just lay there and crossed his paws, and he just looked at me. For some reason, I got inspired to sing. I'm not a particularly good singer, but I started singing praise songs that I learned in young life. My God, how great thou art. Oh, with the deep love of Jesus, and a whole bunch of songs. I'm just booming it out. And thank heavens, that might have scared the bear away, for all I know. But what I did experience was that while I was singing, I was completely at peace. And after a while, I ran out of songs, and I stopped singing. And then this just creepy, started creeping back in. So I thought, I'm going to sing some more. So I started singing, and that feeling went away. So as long as I was worshiping the Lord, I just felt fine. And so that went on for 4 hours. Then the guides came back, and they're way down there, and I'm way up here. And they said, hey, where are you? I said, I'm up here. There's a bear down there. Well, at any rate, that's kind of when the story ended. We slept with our guns loaded. And so some of us really need to be hit over the head with a 2x4 to get some of God's messages. And I'm one of those. I want to focus on P. That's capital P-E-E, which stands for personal experiential evidence that Jesus is who he says he is and that he keeps his promises. But I never imagined writing a book or public speaking until a voice awakened me at 3 a.m. with, it's time for you to get up and start writing what I've been teaching you through your patients. because I knew it wasn't me. I've got no interest in writing whatsoever or speaking. But I got up and I started writing, and that brings me to now. Uncertainty is the most profound, universal, and lifelong condition of our existence. And it's also the greatest opportunity to get God involved in our lives. My patients had all the routine stuff, but they had a lot more uncertainties and what-ifs when they heard the words, "You've got cancer." They'd all met Jesus, and they were all heaven-bound, but their responses were dramatically different. Some of their lives crashed, just like those who had no faith at all or other faiths. But in spite of the big uncertainties, some of them led amazing lives, and they changed my life. Let me tell you about one of them. His name was Wendell Price. Wendell was a 55-year-old, healthy, fit young man who came in my office on a Friday afternoon complaining of his track times were slowing down. Examination was totally normal. Blood was totally normal, except he was just a little anemic. But under the microscope, he had the cells of acute myelogenous leukemia, the worst leukemia there is. And I had to go back and tell him that, and tell him that he had 3 choices. If he did nothing, he would live 8 to 11 weeks. We couldn't cure it back then. We're doing a whole lot better now. We could give him some mediocre stuff in the office, and that might double his survival. But the good news was, if I put him in the hospital immediately and just gave him some awful stuff and kept him there for 6 weeks, nearly killed him, he could get out 6 weeks later and have an 80% chance, or there's an 80% chance he would get out and be complete remission and have a couple of years of normal life to live. Wendell looked off at the corner of the room for just a moment, and then he looked back and looked me in the eye and he said, "My life's verse is Philippians 1:6. He who has started a good work in me will finish it." And he said, the cool thing about that is that he doesn't say how much time he needs. He just says he'll finish it. But there's the caveat, I need to walk into my calling. I need to be listening to his advice in order for him to finish the work he started. So, Doc, just give me whatever you can that'll get me on the pulpit in 3 days, and for every Sunday as long as you can. I was stunned. Nobody has not taken the good stuff. So I said it all over again. I basically said, look, give me 6 Sundays right now, and I'm going to give you back over 100. And without even blinking, he looked me in the eye and he said, I'd rather trust God's promises than doctor's statistics. So just give me what you can. So I did. I gave him the lousy stuff. 2 weeks later, he was in complete remission, where he remained for the next 2 years. And I got to have wonderful conversations with him. He never claimed he was cured. He was thankful for the time he had. One of his parishioners, an 80-year-old woman, came in and said, "You're Wendell's doctor, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "He is so smart. I listen to him preach every weekend, and it goes right over my head. But since he told us about his leukemia, he preaches right from his heart, right to mine. It's wonderful. The size of the church has doubled." Wendell was amazing. Let me tell you about the mother of Becky Donnell. Becky was a cute 18-year-old. She was just back from Malibu, and she had a lump on one of her ribs, which when we biopsied turned out to be Ewing sarcoma, which is just an awful sarcoma that kills virtually everybody except for a rare few who are treated very aggressively. So I treated her very aggressively, and within a couple of weeks, she was deathly ill in the hospital. No red blood cells to carry oxygen, no white cells to fight infection. Well, she did have some red cells, but not enough. But she had no white cells, and she had no platelets. She was bleeding all over the place. Her mouth was just caked with blood. She was delirious. She was on all kinds of antibiotics. And her mother, her sweet little mother, was sitting by her side, cleaning the crust of blood off her mouth, praying over her day and night. When we give people chemotherapy, their blood counts go down, usually at 10 days, and they're usually back up at 21 days, 3 weeks, when we give them more chemotherapy. However, Becky's counts didn't recover at 3 weeks. They didn't recover at 4 weeks. We were out to 4.5 weeks, and they had not budged at all, and Becky was dying. I was devastated. I had on evening rounds. I wanted to tell her Bob that I'd given her too much, and that she was dying. And her little mother reached up and put her arm around my shoulder and said, "It's okay, Doc. If she gets better, she goes home with me. And if she doesn't, she goes home with Jesus." I was just blown away. I thought, where do you get a faith like that? Some of the answer comes in Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, that is, pray, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Becky Donnell did recover out at 5 or 6 weeks. She took more chemotherapy. She was cured. Now, this chemotherapy is so toxic that everybody is infertile after it. Becky got married. She never relapsed in the years I followed her. Then she disappeared. But after about 10 years, she came back and came into the office with her 4 kids. I mean, God just does cool things. So the question is, how do you get P? And the answer is about 5 things. You pray about everything. And if you keep a prayer journal, you'll be astonished over the years at how many times there are answers to your prayers that even you recognize. They're all answered, but we miss a lot of them. Learn to listen. Listening is hard. It takes practice. Those whispers are not always real loud. Sometimes they're audible, but most of the time they're just whispers. And you listen to words that jump off of Scripture when you're reading in the morning, or words from your pastor or from your granddaughter that just pop out to you. And you watch for things that change in circumstances when the Lord shows up. Watch, wait, walk. You've got to walk into what He says. If you don't trust Him enough to walk in and pursue the course that He suggested to you, you don't get to build up any evidence about how good His answers are. Let me tell you about Sue Wright. She was one of my mentors. Sue had an awful tumor in her pelvis. The whole thing had to be removed, and then she had radiation, and then she had heavy-duty chemotherapy, and she was out a couple of years. When I ran into her, I caught up with her at Cutter's Point in Gig Harbor, and she was sitting there having coffee and knitting and just smiling and happy. And I sat down with her and said, "Sue, how are you doing?" She smiled. She said, "I'm doing great. I'm out 2 years. I might even be cured." But then she ducked her head and turned over her shoulder and whispered, "But the dragon's always behind the door." Now, that was the best metaphor for people, things they'd told me about their fear of cancer returning. And so I said, "Sue, what's that like? What are you talking about?" And she said, "It's all the what ifs. All the what ifs. What if my cancer returns? What if I have to take treatment more? What if I don't get to see my daughter graduate from college? What if I never get to meet my grandchildren?" She says, "All those what ifs. They wake me up in the middle of the night and they keep me awake." Or just when happiness is breaking out at a party or something, more what ifs show up and just throw water on my happiness. And I said, wow, that's awful, Sue. What do you do about it?" And she smiled and she said, "I changed the question. I say, what if Jesus is who He says He is? And what if he keeps his promises? And she said, I know he does. I've been praying since I've been a little girl. And he showed up over and over and over. He keeps his promises. I know he does, and he will forever. So the message is that our lives are filled with uncertainty, with what ifs, troubles, just like the Lord promises. And every single one of them is an opportunity to give him a chance to show up and show off. Thank you.
Rob, thank you for sharing your inspiring message about how we can wait on the Lord and trust in Him. Rob has provided us with some discussion questions, which you will see on your screen. We'd love to invite you to dive into those discussion questions as you circle up in your living rooms or in your churches, or to go through them on your own as we dive deeper into faith with Jesus.
Now, and before we conclude for the evening, we do have a few things to share with you to help us get the word out there and spread this good news of Jesus Christ. First of all, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us, like us, share us on our social media platforms. And most importantly, we'd love for you to come on board and join us as a watch party host. And that entails opening your home, inviting women in to view our broadcast together, or now your church, you can have an anchor gathering there as well. And we'd love to have you connect with us. You can go to our website, theanchorgathering.com, and we will be in touch with you. Well, in conclusion, we want to leave you with our founding verse. And Maria, why don't you read it?
Hebrews 6:19. We have this hope, Jesus, as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure.
We hope you can just tuck that verse into your heart, and we also hope and pray that you will experience Jesus Christ as the anchor for your lives. So now, we've come to the end, and like I like to always say, until next time, stay anchored, and we'll see you soon.